This month's segment with Barb from Dover Apothecary is called Nutrition or Nightmare. Barb, do you want to explain?
Hi, Dave. It's a really hot topic for me. A lot of people know that my career path started when my children had so many health issues, and it turned out that even though their diet was very healthy, those foods just weren't the correct fuel for their bodies. And so that discovery that how powerful it is to change the food intake when somebody has those allergies, intolerances, or sensitivities, and the body has this incredible capacity to turn itself around and repair itself when we change that fuel source. And they can be healthy foods. That's the thing. They can be something you've eaten your entire life, but suddenly it's not the right fuel for your cells anymore. And the body starts to rebel and give you symptoms as signals that something, it has become a poison or a toxin to you instead of a nutritional powerhouse. So I try very hard to help people break that down when they come in for consultations and understand those correlations. It's the most amazing realm when you see what our body can do when we change that fuel.
Can you share an example of that? Because I think people really need something to show that this is what it cause and effect, right?
Right, right. That's a great question. And for each person, it can be a drastically different symptom picture, which can make it confusing because one person in your family may have gut problems, another one may have a mood disorder, another one may have joint issues, somebody else it may manifest on their skin. They may have, eczema or psoriasis or other types of rashes or hives or irritations. It's very multifaceted, and some of that will be because of the person's unique uh, physiology, and some of it can be more of a genetic predisposition. But what it boils down to is when the body is overwhelmed by something, that's when it starts to send out these flares. And that's inflammation, regardless of where these problems are showing up. It's an inflammatory process that we need to regulate before the immune system gets involved and to the stage that it becomes an autoimmune problem. And that's why it's so important that we don't self medicate, that we find out what's going on and really eliminate those triggers so that the body can start that repair process.
I always think back when I had my heart issue and I had switched some things in my diet, but there was, the list of foods they gave me I could eat. Excuse me, there was some that even though I wanted to.
Mhm.
I couldn't. It just I felt terrible afterwards, and I think and it was the simple things that were healthy foods, but my body just could not handle it for some reason at that point.
Right.
Um, it's almost like a reintroduction of foods, right? Like I'm to a degree, but I mean, I found that really kind of that was the first indicator that I had that okay, everything's not the same,
Mhm.
um, and that sort of hit me. It's like, okay, this doesn't work for me anymore. This is, even though I could have this if I chose to, I still can't because it's not
Yeah.
working. So something in my system had changed dramatically, and I think that's what sometimes people don't realize is that you're. I think you're answer this question. I think you're even with your gut or your whole metaphysical part of you
Mhm.
is constantly changing. So that food source may have to change with it. Correct?
That is so true. So very true because, our cell turnover, we develop new cells, other cells die, and 7 years from now there's not a single cell in your body
Yeah.
right now that will still be in your body at that stage. So it only stands to reason that we do kind of metamorphose, and especially through different life stages. Different stressors can trigger early onset. So if there's a dis-ease process already going on in the body during an extreme stress event, then that is when disease has the ability to set in much more aggressively. And people often say, but I've eaten that food all my life. It can't be that. And it's like, well, actually, it can. And the number of people that may truly never have felt well in the first place because those food triggers have been there all along. And then we take them out and they're like, I didn't know I could feel like this. Like, I didn't know I could have this much energy and that I could feel this, vitality for life, and that my digestive system isn't giving me horrendous, issues, whether it's diarrhea or acid reflux or, just pain and a sense of not feeling well. And it's not until they get to feel well that they understand what wellness feels like. And that can change, right? Those foods that did fuel you well, because we change and different life stages, of course, our nutrient and amount of food consumption often needs to
Yeah.
change as well. So we have to respect those processes and realize that it's not static, it's not constant, that we are evolving and changing, and to listen to our body through that and not just take something over the counter or search online and think that that wealth of information is the right information for you. We have to get down to, the bottom of it and understand as unique individuals what's happening to us. And that's what I try to do in my practice. And if it's outside of my scope of practice, and that I recognize that that person is experiencing things that are out of my realm of expertise, then I help refer them to somebody that they can work with, that can help with them with those answers.
I want another question here, and I think this is along the lines of what we're talking about. Um, when you talk about nutrients, I want to take B12.
Okay.
Um, I found out years ago my body won't absorb it. Like if you can get it through like spinach or something, that one of the really good sources, but my body doesn't absorb it for some reason.
Okay.
Took me a long time to find that out. So that information right there, once I was found a source that would give me the B12, wow, what a difference it made.
Hmm.
I didn't realize I was missing all that
Right.
because you think you're putting it in there, but in reality, why is that part of the nightmare too? That some bodies just don't absorb proper nutrients?
Yes. So you were asking about B12, which is a fabulous question, Dave. There are different factors that can be involved with our absorption. Some people have an actual intrinsic factor that enables them to get that nutrient from their food, and that there are genetic components to that as well. And it can happen with a whole variety of nutrients. I like the sublingual forms for that reason. And sublingual meaning that that nutrient is absorbed in the mouth, and typically under the tongue, and you hold that supplement in the mouth and allow that absorption. So it goes right into the bloodstream as opposed to being dependent on the person's capabilities to digest intestinally. You'll see a lot of different forms of B12 on the market. So I really, really encourage people to go to somebody that's qualified, that understands the nutrients, that has good quality professional level products on their shelves, because you'll see a world of supplements out there and that can be massively confusing, and people can be spending money on things that aren't actually doing anything for them. So, look for that sublingual form, which means it dissolves under the tongue. And also that with B12 specifically, you want the methylcobalamin form, not the cyanocobalamin, because they're bound to different molecules. And again, that absorption is hugely different. Some people may need it with a little bit of B6 and folic acid. Some people can do the straight B12, and you'll find it in strengths anywhere from 400 micrograms up to 10,000 nowadays, because some people actually have to go for shots. So they've improved things dramatically because they understand that absorption capability and the different problems people can have. But it's one of the things that in my practice and at the apothecary, we really help people understand that whole capability factor with their absorption. And if somebody's got a lot of digestive issues, we need to find them products that they can actually, make use of.
Wow, this we could go on
Mhm.
because I got lots of questions now on absorption, and I want to get back at some point in another show and
Yeah.
talk about weight loss because the metabolism when like we talked about earlier, when I eat it just flows
Right.
through me. That's another topic
All
for another
right.
day. I gotta let you get to work. So nutrition and nightmare. that's what we're looking for in the article in the April Hub, folks. Make sure you read it. Watch Barb's videos. And if you have any questions, stop by the apothecary, talk to Barb, talk to Mike.